Again, huh? I gotta wash the dishes. I gotta figure out what's going on with dinner today. I don't even, man. I don't know. Dinner's looking bad tonight, though. I didn't take no meat out. I ain't do nothing. I see you. Hey. Welcome back. Welcome back. No, Star, we're not doing that. Stay on that side, Star. What's going on, though? You there? What you got going on? What's your day looking like? Cool, huh? Tiring? Hey, look, looking back now, right? That was the easiest part of my life. I should have stuck with school. Trust me on that. That's like, you think that's tiring? Wait till life hits you. Ah! I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, man, you guys are, man, enjoy your middle school, high school year. Just enjoy it. Go to school, do the work. That's the easy part of life. Making me nervous to grow up. Nah, look, you're young now. You plan it out right now. You take the right steps. You can have it easy. You ain't gotta struggle. You ain't gotta be like me. Honestly, you get, man, got all the time in the world right now. Don't do what I did. Now I'm over here playing catch up. Marco, I see you. Yo.
report also reveals that Israeli soldiers misidentified ambulances and rescue vehicles as threats. The attacks sparked worldwide outrage. And pressure is ramping up for Ukraine and Russia to reach a peace deal, but it's not looking very optimistic. The two sides are pointing fingers at each other for violating a one-day Easter ceasefire, saying the truce was broken thousands of times. The 30-hour truce has since expired. And before we go, it is time for the future of everything. AI is stepping into the world of sports, and a look at how it's being used to help young athletes step up their game.
When you're in Illinois, you get closer with every course. All signs point to a good time, and the best paths are the ones you take side by side. Plan your getaway to Illinois, the middle of everything.
Hey, what's up, Angel? I'll see you. I'll see you. Alright, fucking dishes. When am I gonna get a new dishwasher? I kind of miss it now. More Americans are using psilocybin? Hey, look at that. They're learning. What's going on today? Same shit as yesterday, really. Clean up a little bit. Figure out what I'm gonna feed the kids today. Now later on, go to work again. Same shit. The routine continues. Hey, why? Hey, who's doing that? Who's doing that and why? I know that's you! Hold her!
Now he's wrong.
I know his part.
To see it like this.
I know his damn part. That's him.
Now he's real.
Let's break down what
Definitely
we know and
polar.
the questions still outstanding.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now. Kristen Welker hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC. Hey there, welcome back. And here is just some of what is happening in the future of everything. Instagram is starting to test some AI to catch kids lying about their age to use the app. Meta, Instagram's parent company, says it's proactively searching for teens they suspect entered a fake birthday when they signed up. If they think an account misrepresented their age, Instagram will automatically change it to a teen account, they say, which has more restrictions and safeguards for younger users. And the AI is looking at things like the type of content the account interacts with, as well as the profile info. Check this out.
3, 2, 1, ignition, and
That was just the first of 2 SpaceX launches set today with Cape Canaveral. First, a Falcon 9 took off early this morning with some supplies from the International Space Station on its way there right now. And the second mission just took off minutes ago, another Falcon 9. This Bandwagon 3 mission, this one's kind of like an orbital.
Why you do that? Just for fun?
Companies to send up their satellites. So far, looks like another successful launch. And finally tonight, some technology that looks like it is straight out of a sports video game. We're going to game tape. One New York youth soccer team is using AI to step up their game. NBC's Sam Brock takes us there. Jog on your way back. Go.
What might look like a typical youth soccer practice just outside New York City is getting a brand new pitch, cutting-edge AI technology
Just
that
for
can
fun,
pinpoint every kick, pass, or clear. Sean Sims brings this
Oh, if nobody got hurt, I guess it's all good. No harm, no foul, right?
You're getting a full picture of the entire field. The entire field along with the player focus
It
AI.
was pretty
That
funny.
is Sean's 7-year-old son SJ scoring a goal. The technology from a company called Trace identifies players based on
Someone
their
was
numbers.
yelling in the hallway, a police got called.
Before I was playing some tomato.
Allowing for film review sessions like this. Father and son watching back SJ's key plays on the big screen.
You think you did a good job with it?
Sean says SJ enjoys watching himself, and the tech helps him develop as a player.
Do you feel like you learned stuff?
A lot of stuff.
Balancing constructive criticism with positive reinforcement.
Is the onus on you to sort of strike a balance between things that will be constructive, but also not showing him something that might make him feel bad about himself?
Yeah, definitely. You got to play your cards the right way.
Out of bounds, throw in. The tech for this age group at the elite FC Westchester Club is optional. It's up to parents whether they want to spend the $300 annually to use it. The club's president says this is just one tool in the bigger picture of player training.
Do you think some people are going to see this and say,
Think he was
you
autistic?
got 8, 9-year-old kids?
Yeah, sometimes they do that, right? The people that got like,
I'm torn between that as well.
the people that ain't all there. Sometimes they do that. They go off.
The ecosystem has forced us to start younger and younger.
I wonder about people like you know, people that have like autism or like Down syndrome or stuff. I wonder about them.
Support them. They're enjoying.
Like how do they see the world and stuff? And like I don't know.
Trace, one of several companies offering
I
similar
wonder how they're
services, says it has
experiencing
more
it.
than 100,000 subscribers, more than 10,000 cameras in use. A community of coaches, parents, and players looking to strike a balance.
It's almost like they're living in a whole different dimension or something.
While still having some good old-fashioned fun. Sam Brock, NBC News, Purchase, New York.
I don't know. I mean, I see upside for parents that don't want to be filming with their phones and just like screaming like crazy for their kids. As long as we have access to that video, I am all for it. Also, a camera taller than Sam Brock. Who would have thought? Sam Brock, thank you very much. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. Until then.
Nobody making fun of nobody. Oh, puppy.
Tonight, the world remembers Pope
puppy.
Francis as the church
Hey.
looks for a way forward after his
Come on.
monumental
Little puppy laying his little head on my
gratitude
foot.
across the globe and here in the U.S. after Pope Francis dies at 88.
Puppy.
We get new details on his funeral plans and the secretive gathering to replace him. Who could be his successor? Plus, the young American boy who sang for the Pope, how it changed his life forever. Airplane engine on fire. The Delta plane making an emergency landing in Orlando. Passengers rushing to evacuate down slides. We hear.
I swear the Pope was just getting better.
Stock market meltdown. Another brutal day on
I guess
Wall Street
not.
as President Trump ramps up his
What?
war of words with the Fed.
Yeah, it was.
And why China just returned this American-made plane. New group chat accusations. Pete Hegseth under fire amid new reporting that he shared sensitive military information on a text chain with his wife and brother. Cabinet Secretary Rob Kristi Noem, head of Homeland Security, had her purse swiped at a Washington restaurant. Thousands of dollars in cash taken. Was she targeted? Shannon Sharp.
Cabinet Secretary Rob.
Sexual assault. The Hall of
Shannon
Famer
Sharp?
and
Oh, shit.
firing back. The text messages his lawyers have just released, what they reveal about the relationship. And Highway Inferno, the semi-truck explosion on a busy Indiana highway. How the driver escaped unharmed.
Damn.
Plus, breaking news today. Harvard University announcing it's suing the White House over billions in funding. Top story starts right now.
Oh.
Good evening. Everything. I'm Elvis.
Oh, look, he's dreaming.
Tonight,
He's dreaming over here. He's running.
The loss of Pope Francis.
He's running in his
Church
sleep.
for over a decade, and right now Cardinals are
Little
around
guy.
the world getting ready. To
Yeah, and then these two are down here sleeping. Look at them.
Who will be his successor?
Oh.
Taking a live look at a mass service being held in Buenos Aires, Argentina, at a
They
church where
know
Pope
me.
Francis discovered his vocation.
Where's she at? She's outside.
Continuing to pay
Dini.
their respects at this late hour.
Tina, you ready to come in?
Just hours after his surprise appearance on Easter Sunday, and just weeks after his lengthy hospitalization for double pneumonia. Pope Francis chose the path of priesthood in his early 20s, born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, under the name Jorge Mario Bergoglio. He would become the first Jesuit and Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church. In
Come on,
February
Tina.
2001, Pope John Paul II made him
Come on.
a
Oh,
cardinal.
yeah, she's
Just over
definitely
a
like,
decade
come in.
later, in March
Come on, Tini.
2013, Pope Francis was elected pontiff and installed
She's
days
here.
later. His name paying homage to St. Francis
Go,
of
go, go, go,
Assisi,
go.
the
Come on.
patron saint of the environment, animals, and birds. Pope Francis changed the culture of the Catholic Church, unnerving traditionalists as he pushed for inclusivity, immigrant rights, and was
These kids do
outspoken
make
on climate
focusing
change.
on work.
At this
Yeah,
hour, Catholics
that's
around
when they
the
do
globe
that
mourn
shit.
over the death of the beloved
I remember that when
Pope.
I was
From
a
the
kid,
Vatican
little
to Gaza
fuckers.
to Mexico City and beyond. His formal funeral rites have already
You know, when I was
begun.
a
By
kid,
Wednesday
like, say, when I was in
morning,
middle
the public viewing
school,
will begin at St.
like, I
Peter's
remember,
Basilica,
like,
with the
so,
funeral slated to take place in the next
like,
4 to
wrestling was
6
in a
days.
rage back then,
Hundreds
right?
of
You know,
thousands are expected to
WWE,
pay their respects. The big question is
WWF.
now, when could we
Way
see
back
the
when.
white smoke streaming
Man,
out
so
of the
like
chamber
everybody,
in the
like
Sistine
kids in
Chapel?
school,
The
everybody was like
silent
trying to do
signal
wrestling
that
moves on
has been
everybody.
chosen.
That's all I
And he says
remember. Like
Robin
you'd
Hunter
be in
is in
class,
line with more
next thing
on
you
how
know,
the
you'd
intense
hear somebody get
conflict
choke
is
slammed on the table, boom, you know.
Shrouded
You
in
just hear shit like that all
the
fucking
conclave
day.
begins 15 to 20 days following the death of a pontiff.
All day long.
Over
I'm
the
in
next
the
2 weeks,
hallways, in the class. It was wrestling. It was always wrestling moves.
Eligible to vote for the next pope will descend on Vatican
It was like
City.
a thing, though. When I was growing up, like wrestling is not as popular as it was when I was a kid. Like they had, man,
From countries that have never had a
that thing
cardinal
was
before.
everywhere. I used to watch fucking wrestling religiously.
80% of the Cardinals
SmackDown.
who are the successor, but they don't really know each other.
Shit.
And so name recognition will carry a lot in the days ahead.
One I never did like though was the
In the
WCW for
centuries-old
some
tradition,
reason.
The Cardinals are sealed
I never did
inside
get
the
into that
Sistine
one. I don't know
Chapel,
why. I just
beneath the
didn't.
watchful gaze of Michelangelo's
I didn't like the
frescoes, shut off from the
WCW.
outside world. After day one, 4 rounds of secret ballots every day until one name receives a 2/3 majority. The list of likely contenders spans the globe, from Asia to Africa to the Holy Land to Europe and Canada. Will the next pope share Francis's global
They still
outlook,
do it. Why?
or will it be a more conservative voice?
The Cardinals really face 2 choices in this election. Do they want to continue on the path of reform?
I guess it probably is still a thing.
Opening the church up to the modern world, or do they want to course correction to elect a pope that's perhaps more focused on doctrine and discipline? Those are really the 2 choices.
As the voting continues, the Cardinals burn the ballots, producing black smoke or eventually white smoke to announce a new pope.
Generation X. Oh my God, I remember that shit. Even I was doing it when I was a kid. I was like, second, going up to people. You know what? Actually, I got suspended from school from my.
Allison, you can see
I did that
it's
to my
after
PE
midnight here, and
teacher.
there's
She was a
still
lady,
people
and
out
I
there
ran up one day. It was like
people, and
second.
Mexican-Americans, Martin
And
Girl,
Bell
Allison,
got
I'm from
suspended.
Detroit. They were
Yeah, they
here for
called my
Easter
parents and
services yesterday,
everything.
and they got to see Pope Francis, and they said this morning when the bells started
What are you
ringing out,
doing?
they ran here. They said pilgrims
Someone
were
broke a
crying.
desk?
They said
Damn.
huge crowds of people, some tourists who were just curious. But Allison, I asked them what it felt like to be here, to be around all these people, and they said it was unbelievably moving just to be so close to other people while they prayed. Allison,
Stupid
Molly
shit.
Hunter at the Vatican.
Thinking back to it now like that, I was a little piece of shit.
She is a professor of
I
American
was.
and Religious
Little
Studies at the
asshole.
University of Notre Dame, and Bishop Robert Barron of Minnesota. He was appointed by Pope Francis and plans to attend the conclave in the coming weeks. Thank you both so much for joining us here on Top Story. Bishop Barron, let me start with you because you knew
Hey, Karma.
Pope Francis personally. Talk to us about your
see
relationship
you.
with him and what his legacy, the good and the bad, means for the Catholic Church.
Well, I knew him because of
Dina, go,
three
go,
synods
go,
I
go,
was
go,
part
go.
of.
Come on, you
Synod
gotta get out of here.
people
Go.
And then the Synod on
Go.
Synodality, which had 2 sessions.
Go.
So 3 Octobers in Rome, I spent
Go,
that
get out of
whole
here.
month. And the Pope was there practically every
Too
day.
much going on here right now.
We
You
had to
guys,
talk on a number of occasions. I always found him to be a very warm,
these
very
damn
generous
dogs, they're like,
person. We usually spoke in
I think they
Spanish.
like me,
He
these
always
little
had a little
puppies.
joke
They
or
like, they
something.
know me. They lay right up
He
under
knew
me.
the work I was doing in evangelization, and
It's almost like I'm their
appreciated
second
that.
mommy.
So I, have a personal sense of loss at the death of the Pope. Every Catholic feels that we've lost our spiritual father, but I felt a greater kinship. His legacy, I think he was a great Pope of mercy. Misericordia, mercy was his favorite word, I think. And if John Paul called it heroic sanctity, Francis was a great Pope for all of us who fall short of that and require the divine mercy. And he saw the church as a field hospital, which I
They're
think
pretty
is
much ready to go.
there are a lot of walking wounded around.
Mom is done feeding them, you know.
And
Mama ain't trying to breastfeed no more. They're pretty much ready.
From the beginning.
Let's talk about the process.
I just gotta really figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do with
I
them.
understand in Catholic tradition there is
No, I
period
didn't.
of
I didn't get the
time,
Pokemon
a set
Go.
amount of time, right, where a burial needs
You
to
know
take
what? I'm
place.
forgetful.
Walk us
I gotta.
through the next steps.
I'll try to remember, but
The next steps are that
forget.
we'll be preparing for a papal funeral, and this is an interesting time because it's been 20 years since we've had both a papal funeral and a conclave. We had a conclave without a funeral in 2013, and then a papal funeral when Pope Benedict died, a conclave. So this is back to standard practice. The funeral will take place in the next 4 to 6 days, probably. The church has entered a period of mourning, a 9-day period of mourning. Cardinals are coming to Rome, where they
are they cute? Hell yeah, they're hella
and then in
cute.
general
Little
congregations, which are
fuckers.
meetings of all the cardinals.
They're too damn
before the
cute.
conclave starts. This is a chance for cardinals to think about what is needed at this moment, what they need in a leader, what will
Oh,
they
they're
need
too
in
damn
the church.
cute.
And those are very important meetings.
Hey, take
that
it
will
easy,
take
alright?
place before the
Till
conclave
next
actually
time.
begins.
And Bishop, I understand you will be attending the conclave. Walk us through your thought process at this juncture as you're grieving the loss of Pope Francis, but also trying to prepare for a pretty important responsibility. Where is your mental space at right now? How do you prepare for something like that?
I'm, of course, preparing not to be in the conclave, but simply to be an observer of it. And at the synod last October, there were about 50 cardinals present there, so I came to know a number of them.
Good night, good night, Jay.
It'll be
Yes.
a bit more open-ended
That's right,
because of
though.
the way
Like-
Pope Francis chose cardinals from
Like
all
a
over the world.
vampire, my
So
night
then
times
in
and my
many sees that
daytime.
never had a cardinal before. I remember meeting the cardinal of Mongolia, which has, I think, all of 5,000 Catholics. And I can testify that a lot of the cardinals don't know each other all that well. So I think a dynamic, the professor mentioned the general congregations, and they're going to have to get to know each other, I think, during that time. What's the church looking for? I think to continue the great teaching of the Second Vatican Council, which is the new evangelization. We have to declare Christ risen from the dead in a way that's compelling to the contemporary world. That was the agenda of Vatican II, the agenda of Paul VI, John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. I heard him say with my own ears that his encyclical Evangelii Gaudium, I'm enjoying the gospel, that's the key to my pontificate. So I think that's what they're going to be interested in, finding someone who can declare Christ risen from the dead in a way that's compelling to the modern world. Above all the politics, I think that's what we're looking for.
And we heard Molly Hunter, Kathleen, talk about the fact that there is that age requirement to be able to actually vote. But give us a sense of some of the other qualifications that are necessary in order to be selected as the next pope. And in terms of front runners right now, given there are some American cardinals expected to attend to varying degrees, all of the activities that will be playing out at the Vatican, is there a chance we could see the first pope from the United States?
Well, there's always a chance.
It's not gonna happen. Ain't getting no pope from the United States. They tripping. That's
the church in this moment.
Come on, people. Church ain't doing that.
The world at this moment, international experience. I think someone who knows Rome well, who knows how to get things done, perhaps, but also has a sense of is an outsider of sorts, a sense who knows. Can see what needs to be changed. So for someone who's that perfect combination, in the way Francis was, he was an outsider in the sense he was from the first pope from South America, but he also understood how the world worked, and he led a complex archdiocese for many years. So he had a sense of what the challenges that the church was facing. I think, yes, it's always possible that there will be an American pope, but of course the United States is not where the church is growing. The church has become increasingly global. Pope Francis was a global pope for a global church, and so I think someone who has a sense of the world beyond the United States, that's not to exclude anyone from the United States, but a sense to understand where the church is growing, and that is in the global south.
Kathleen Cummings, Bishop Robert Barron of Minnesota, thank you both. We appreciate your time and insights.
Thanks. God bless you.
Thank you.
Another big story we're following, an engine fire on a Delta Airlines plane. The frantic scene unfolded shortly before the flight was set to take off from Orlando, forcing nearly 300 passengers and crew members to quickly evacuate. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
At Orlando International, fire on the ramp.
Thank you very much.
The right side engine on a fully loaded Delta Airlines flight is spewing flames just moments after pushing back from the gate.
There's obviously people on that plane.
As pilots quickly shut off fuel to the engine, passengers evacuated the jumbo jet
right,
down
here, I'm doing
emergency
good.
slides. The process slowed with passengers
little
only
sleepy,
able
but
to
I'm
evacuate
all right.
from the left side of the plane.
Please take your time going down the stairs.
On board the Orlando Delta flight, Channing Wells
What
and her
about you?
9-year-old son, returning home after a Disney cruise.
How's life on your end?
Everyone in the back of the plane in a panic trying to rush to the front. And then all of a sudden you
I'm
start
going to
smelling
go.
smoke and
All right,
different things
Angel.
like that.
Take
and
it
then
easy.
everyone was panicking.
Firefighters quickly doused the flames as passengers gathered to the ramp. Delta says the highly unusual fire happened in the engine's tailpipe.
In my many years of flying, tailpipe fires are very rare. I was trained for it, but in all my years, I never had a tailpipe fire.
The latest in a string of high-profile aviation incidents this year that have flyers on edge.
And Tom Costello joins us now. Tom, I understand there was another emergency landing today in
All right,
Orlando.
Angel.
Yeah, another flight just a few
I
hours
believe
later.
in
It
you.
was
Keep
leaving
going.
Orlando, also going to Atlanta. It got over Jacksonville. Suddenly they had a
Yeah.
cabin pressure issue.
That'll be all
The
right.
pilots declared an emergency and then returned back to Orlando, landed safely.
starting to believe I was
Thankfully, no
built for
injuries.
this.
Again, Delta Airlines says in both
What I was
cases
made for.
they've accommodated the passengers and apologized. But it does underscore the heightened sense of concern among aviation flyers these days, everyday passengers, about the string of incidents we've seen.
Sure has been a lot of little incidents, so I ain't gonna lie.
There was another massive stock slide on Wall Street today as President Trump ramped up
Stocks
his attacks on Federal
meltdown.
Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average falling nearly 1,000 points. The
Damn.
S&P 500 and NASDAQ also down around 2.5%. NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now on set with the latest. Christine, investors today reacting to President Trump's Truth Social post where he targeted Powell over the weekend. He wrote this in part, quote, "With these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would do. There can almost be no inflation, but there can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates now." Why did that post rattle the market so much?
That from the President of the United States to the independent chair of the Federal Reserve. It rattled investors who see the United States as becoming a destabilizer, not a stabilizer. And the Fed traditionally is designed to be independent of pressure from an elected government. When you look at other instances around the world, from South America and Central America to Turkey and other countries, when you have a central bank that bends to the whims of a president or the demands of a president, tends to have higher inflation, more erratic economies. It's just not seen as a stable, solid, good bet. And that's what investors are saying today.
So this weekend on NBC's Meet the Press, our colleague Kristen Welker asked Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy about this back and forth. The senator said in part, "I don't think any president has the right to remove the Fed chair." How does this play out?
And the Fed chief himself has been asked this and has said there's no room in the statute. The congressional statute is designed the Fed to be independent of politics and the executive branch. He has said that there is no room to remove him, but the White House has suggested that it is studying its options on this front. And that is sending chills to international investors. You look at the kind of selling we've seen on Wall Street, especially today. It was the stock market, selling in the bond market, and selling in the dollar. Those three things together It's called the Sell America trade. That is not the place you want to be as an investor, and that's because of behavior and the trade policies of the president. And on top of all of this happening, there are still tariffs at play here. Neither the U.S. nor China backing down. In fact, we can show images of this. A Boeing jet China ordered from the American company that it returned over the weekend.
Damn,
And that was
real.
really a message being sent by China that we will fight back. Look, there are no trade deals that have been inked. There doesn't seem to be progress. You've got a Treasury Department and a Commerce Department that are having to maybe negotiate dozens, if not hundreds, of trade deals at the same time with little progress in sight. That's another reason why the market was rattled today. Senior business correspondent Christine Romans, thank you. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is fighting back today amid new reporting that he shared sensitive military information on another group chat. This text chain included his wife and brother. It comes nearly a month after the secretary faced similar backlash for sending detailed war plans to some of the administration's top-ranking officials, including, inadvertently, a journalist. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell reports from the White House.
Defiant and dug in tonight.
Absolutely, the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth facing a new allegation of improperly sharing sensitive military operational details before a strike in Yemen. That group chat included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer, according to two sources, who say Hegseth sent the information using his personal phone and the Signal app. Hegseth and family at today's White House Easter egg roll, where the secretary attacked media reports but did not address the substance of the allegation.
They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department.
Four former top Pentagon advisors are speaking out about Hegseth's leadership more broadly. Incredibly disappointed is how three senior aides described their firing last week and say they have not been told what exactly we were investigated for. Meanwhile, former Pentagon spokesman John Elliott, who left voluntarily, writes the president should remove Hegseth, citing total chaos and disarray under Hegseth's leadership. But today, the president says he stands by him.
Don't worry about that. We have so much confidence. We have the highest recruiting almost ever. That's confidence.
Kelly O'Donnell joins us now from the North Lawn of the White House. Kelly, we are also now learning that Harvard University is suing the Trump administration. Do you have any additional details on that?
Well, this is a big development, and it follows the administration putting great pressure on Harvard and other elite institutions and making claims that they have not done enough to fight anti-Semitism on camera. Harvard, the wealthiest of the universities and certainly very prestigious and had very large endowment, is suing under First Amendment and other reasons for the federal government wanting to take away funding, saying that the Trump administration is trying to use the issue of anti-Semitism, which they say they are willing to work with them on making changes on campus and have been doing so, but that they want to reach into areas that go beyond federal control for things like determining the kinds of classes they offer, the kinds of programs they offer, and the costs could affect large health issues because Harvard's funding is often used in science and medical research.
Kelly O'Donnell on that breaking news, thank you. Still ahead tonight, Shannon Sharpe fighting back. The Hall of Fame football player facing accusations of sexual assault. But now his legal team releasing text messages they believe prove his innocence. Plus high-profile robbery. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem robbed thousands of dollars in cash stolen. But the Secret Service is revealing about the theft. And the semi-truck inferno that shut down a major highway. The driver escaping unharmed.
Damn. Lucky, I thought it was big, but I'm lucky.
Now he's raw. How hard is it to see it like this?
Our house is no longer here, but we are here.
Now he's real.
Let's break down what we know and then the big questions still outstanding.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now. Kristen Welker hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, and ways you can take care of your health and your wallet. NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
News lives in the now. It's coming at us every second. News is more now than ever.
This monster and historic storm is set to make landfall.
Now is raw.
What was your initial reaction?
Devastating. Now is real.
Recess appointments. I'm going to ask you to put this into the plainest English possible.
Now is constant. The future is now. News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Washy, what the fuck?
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Vicki Wynn. I'm Morgan Radford. I'm Vic Principal. And I'm Kate Snow.
Get in-depth reporting from across the country
Flood-ravaged communities now facing another powerful storm.
and around the world,
If you're walking to Sicily, Mount Etna is erupting.
and ways you can take care of your health
What can people do without entering the doctor's office?
and your wallet.
That can save you hundreds of dollars
Bang.
a year.
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern on NBC News Now.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
Now is raw.
How hard is it to see it like this?
Our house is no longer here, but we are here.
Now is real.
Let's break down what we know and then the big questions still outstanding.
News for the generation is NBC News Now.
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
We're back now with the sexual assault allegations against NFL Hall of Famer turned broadcaster Shannon Sharpe. A new lawsuit, an unnamed woman claims the Hall of Famer violently assaulted her during a, quote, rocky, consensual relationship. Sharpe's lawyer says text messages between the two tell a different story. NBC's Jesse Kirsch has this.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Club Shay Shay.
This is the Shannon Sharpe regularly seen by millions of fans.
Boar seed, mustard seed, poppy seed. Lakers and fire.
But tonight, an unnamed woman is accusing the sports legend turned media titan of using his celebrity to manipulate, control, subjugate, and violate women. In a civil lawsuit filed in Nevada on Sunday, lawyers for plaintiff Jane Doe detail what they describe as a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. They allege last fall, Sharpe, who was more than 30 years older, Jane Doe, violently sexually assaulted and anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it again in January during an incident in which plaintiff cried and begged repeatedly for him to stop. The lawsuit also accuses Sharpe of secretly recording their sexual encounters without her consent. Sharpe is an NFL legend, a 3-time Super Bowl winner and Hall of Famer, who then turned a broadcasting career into a wildly popular podcasting empire.
We gotta go places that no one else has been.
I sat down with Sharpe to talk about his success in January, just days after one of the alleged rapes occurred, according to the new lawsuit.
In order to grow, you have to be able to expand.
After the lawsuit's filing, Sharpe was back on the air on ESPN this morning.
LeBron's gonna have to be a bishop. Reed's gonna have to be a bishop.
This is not the first time Sharpe has been caught up in controversy. In September, he admitted to accidentally live streaming a sexual encounter.
My phone wasn't hacked. It wasn't a prank. It was me being a healthy, active male.
Jane Doe's attorneys say that incident humiliated her, adding he had repeatedly assured her they were in an exclusive relationship, albeit unhealthy and abusive. This was a lie that not only hurt her emotionally, it made her fear for her sexual health and the risk of sexually transmitted disease, according to the lawsuit. Tonight, Sharpe's attorney says the former football star categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of rape. Sharpe's attorney also accusing Jane Doe of trying to shake down Sharpe. His attorney also releasing a series of graphic text messages he says were sent by the plaintiff
which Sharp's attorney says proved this was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and fantasy scenarios explicitly requested by Jane Doe.
Jesse Kirsch joins us now from our bureau in Miami. Jesse, what are the lawyers for Jane Doe seeking with this lawsuit?
Yes, so Allison, this woman's legal team is asking for more than $50 million in damages, and this comes as Shannon Sharp is reportedly on the verge of potentially signing a new podcasting deal, which could be worth roughly double that amount. Allison?
Jesse Kirsch, thank you. When we return, the cabinet secretary robbed in a Washington restaurant. Thousands of dollars stolen. Now the Secret Service search for the thieves. And a politician stabbed in her home in Texas, fighting for her life. The accused attacker, her own grandson.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, and ways you can take care of your health and your wallet. NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
Hey, I'm Hallie. We are coming on the air with fast-moving developments. Egg prices spiking. As
Oh, yeah, still clean. I ain't going back. Staying the hell away from that alcohol.
And you know me.
I have been happier. It's working.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily.
Life is getting better.
Reporting from across the country and around the world, and ways you can take care of your health and your wallet. NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
See, normally I would be pretty fucked up right now. I wouldn't be washing no damn dishes.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this. News for the generation of
I wouldn't be doing shit.
News Now.
Hey, I'm Hallie. We are coming on the air with fast-moving developments. Egg
Probably would have been on my way back to the store.
Anybody who has been to the grocery store has seen. What does this mean for people? Cheap AI. Talk to me like I'm me, and you know me. How big of a deal is it?
I don't know how the hell I was working all night and then drinking all day. That was crazy.
Should Democrats have done more to address the debt when they were in power? Are cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security off the table? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
News lives in the now. Look at this. You can't even see anything.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this. News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Can you accept any peace deal that is cut without Ukraine?
Should Democrats have done more to address the debt when they were in power? Are cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security off the table? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
News for the generation of now is NBC
Hey, have a good one. You're probably right about that. I don't even notice this. Some others might be. If that's the case, that's good.
What's the message that we're trying to get out to young people?
Not only is it good for me, it's good for others.
We've got important news this hour about your money.
That's good.
Big picture, why is it so tough right now?
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now. Here's the pleasure hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC.
We're almost there, yes.
We're back now with breaking news.
Almost there, yes, yes, yes.
As dangerous flash floods overwhelm the Big Easy. Up to 6 inches falling the past few hours. A park in Algiers along the riverfront reporting almost 10 inches of rain. We've seen cars trapped in the rising floodwaters and water entering homes. Flood warnings now
New Orleans is flooding.
For more on these changing conditions, let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, what's the latest?
Allison, New Orleans is like nowhere else in our country. I mean, the entire city's below sea level. They depend on levees and canals and pumps in these heavy rain situations, and they could not keep up. And that's why the pictures that you're seeing, I mean, it's widespread throughout all of the city. The system is meant to handle 1 inch per rain in an hour. In some areas, they reported 4 to 6 inches in 2 hours. And so this is what happens when you get that heavy rain. They can't keep up. The levees, all the pumps, you know, they were still working. They didn't fail. But the situation just continues to be pretty dire throughout many of the highly populated population centers, including the lower Ninth Ward, which is still one of those areas that saw about 6 inches of rain. If that name sounds familiar, now when Hurricane Katrina hit, that's where the most horrendous flooding was there. Happy to report that the rain is now tapering off, that the water levels are beginning to lower, the pumps are now catching back up, and so the worst of the damage has been done. But this is the radar over the 3 hours. When you see bright red over you, it's pouring, and it did that just right over the top of New Orleans. Our Doppler estimates do have in this area here in New Orleans, which is where the lower ninth ward is, upwards of 3 to 6 inches in this huge area. Allison, we have probably about another half hour to an hour, and then all of the water levels should be returning back to where the water should be, and then people can resume getting back to their regular lives. But a lot of them have trapped at work, at school. It's been very difficult late this afternoon and early this evening.
Bill Karen, thank you. We appreciate it. Tonight in Top Stories news feed, the man who killed 23 people in El Paso Walmart pleading guilty to capital murder today. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Local prosecutors choosing to decline the death penalty. The gunman has said he was targeting Hispanic shoppers during the August 2019 shooting. He is also facing 90 consecutive life terms after pleading guilty to hate crimes and weapons. And an update to a story we first told you about here at Top Story. A body found in Lake Mead in Nevada has been identified as horse veterinarian Sean Frainer of Las Vegas. A National Park Service spokesman says the body was recovered on Friday. Frainer was the subject of an investigation by county deputies and animal cruelty. A warning, this next video is disturbing. It appears to show Frainer kicking a horse in the head. He acknowledged his behavior and apologized. The 56-year-old family says they last spoke to him on April 6th. And more than 7 people were arrested in connection to incidents at Philadelphia's Kemper University this weekend. The university's vice president for public safety saying 3 students were hurt on Saturday night by a group of juveniles. On Sunday, 3 assaults were reported. 1 involved a student. The university says they are investigating. And a massive semi-truck fire closing down part of Interstate 65 in northwest Indiana today. You can see the truck just engulfed in flames. Indiana State Police saying they believe the fire was caused by mechanical failure to the brakes. It was hauling cans of spray paint, which is considered hazardous material. No one, including the driver, is injured. We want to return now to our coverage of Pope Francis. His death deeply personal for so many Catholics here in the U.S. who felt a connection to the
The more I do today, the less I gotta do tomorrow. So.
His visit here in 2018, a highlight of a papacy that at times polarized members of the church. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin has this one.
Tonight, among the nation's
do.
tears. Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, reformed the face of the Catholic Church in the United States, making it more
Moldy, whoa. I don't know what that was. That was beans? God damn, that's
Key
nasty.
appointments including Nelson Perez, the son of Cuban immigrants, as the Archbishop of Philadelphia.
He spoke about the dignity of the human person.
His leadership at times polarizing for the 67 million strong American Catholic community.
I'm not part of his biggest fans, but it's not the most He's still my pope.
Conservative Catholics accused him of diluting church doctrine, pointing in part to the move away from Latin Mass. But Francis also disappointed America's progressives, who hoped he'd go farther on issues like same-sex marriage and women in church leadership. And while he took significant steps to resolve the clergy sex abuse crisis, survivors argue it wasn't enough. Still, his 2015 trip to the U.S., a unifying moment, including this stop in Harlem, New York.
They just started cheering as if a rock star had just exited from a car, and he went directly to the children.
Why?
Joanne Walsh was the principal of Our Lady Queen of
Go ahead,
Angels
bro, don't
School.
matter.
So what he did was he looked at them just in a very grandfatherly way, cupped his ear.
You need what, buddy?
And gave them the clue that they weren't loud enough, and then the volume increased.
Mr. Speaker, the Pope of the Holy See.
That same trip, he became the first pontiff to address a joint session of Congress. He called for compassion for immigrants, spoke out against the death penalty, and advocated for more environmental protections. The trip wasn't just about policy, it was personal, like this last-minute performance in Philadelphia.
They told me 5 minutes before that I was going to go out there and sing, and I just went out there and sang.
For Bobby Hill, it was life-changing.
Being a young black person from Philadelphia, my life would be drastically different if I didn't have that one. With the Pope and all of his grandeur and greatness.
Bobby says he'll never forget that handshake, that moment.
Something that transcends all of our little, like, religious sects. That just has to do with being a good human and being a humanitarian. And I feel like there's definitely something that a lesson that the Pope, you know, should leave us all with, is just to be good humans and to be good to one another.
And Aaron McLaughlin joins us now from New York City, just outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral. Aaron, in terms of American elected and church officials, do we know who will be headed to Rome to attend Pope Francis's funeral?
We're getting some idea, Allison. Today we heard from President Trump post on Truth Social that both he and the First Lady will attend the funeral, writing, quote, "We look forward to being there." We also know that Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York, also plans to fly following a mass that will be said here at St. Patrick's Cathedral in honor of Pope Francis tomorrow afternoon. From there, he'll fly to the Vatican not only for the funeral, but also to participate in the conclave. He is one of 10 American cardinals charged with selecting the next pope. Allison.
Aaron McLaughlin, thank you. There are new questions tonight about a high-profile robbery in Washington, D.C. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, had her designer handbag stolen when she was at a Washington restaurant last night with roughly $3,000 of cash inside that bag. NBC's Jamis Alcindor asked Noem about it earlier today at the White House Easter egg hunt. Here's some of that exchange.
Yeah, it's not resolved. Do you know the Secret Service has any leads on it or anything?
For more on this, I want to bring in NBC's Ryan Riley. Ryan, talk to us about what we know at this hour. What exactly was stolen? And at this point, does Secret Service have any leads on a potential suspect?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about leads, but this happened at this Capitol Burger.
Yeah, nighttime already.
A man who was wearing an N95 mask came in, sort of sat near the secretary, used his foot to slide that bag over and then put it under a jacket before exiting the restaurant. Of course, the big question about that is how that managed to happen when you have this detail, the Secret Service detail that follows the secretary around. Apparently, those individuals were seated near the bar a little bit further away from the secretary here, and what the report has been is that she was out with her family here. So apparently it might have been a moment of distraction. She said that she thought maybe it was someone brushing up against her knee, a family member, but that bag was apparently slid over and taken, and that raises a lot of questions about that security detail, Allison.
Yeah, certainly a lot of questions there. Since taking on the role of DHS Secretary, Noem has also been in the spotlight a lot, from visiting the mega prison in El Salvador while reportedly wearing a $50,000 Rolex watch, to riding in ATV with Customs and Border Patrol agents at the U.S.-Mexico border, to then participating in fire drills with the U.S. Coast Guard. There have been a lot of photo ops, right? Do authorities think that public-facing approach to her job could have potentially made her more of a target here?
I don't think anything has been ruled out here, but they are also exploring the possibility that this was someone who was not aware of this individual's status, of her status, right? Because this isn't an area that's right around the convention center. It's kind of a touristy area, and especially if you have a large family out with a designer handbag and a lot of distractions going on, that seems like potentially a prime target for someone to have their bags swiped for them. It happens occasionally here. I'm sure it's happened to friends of mine who've had their bags sort of taken before. So I think that that's something that could be a possibility here, that this was just random and wasn't necessarily targeted at her precisely.
Ryan Riley, thank you. Today in New York, Nadine Menendez, the wife of former Senator Bob Menendez, convicted of teaming up with her husband to accept bribes of cash, gold bars, and a luxury car from 3 New Jersey men looking for help with their business dealings or legal troubles. For more on the decision by the jury, we're joined by NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Danny, the jury returned a verdict, guilty on all counts. Walk us through the evidence against Nadine Menendez here. How strong of a case was this?
Yeah, these cases are hard to defend. I've had to defend them, and they're usually particularly strong because there's a cooperating witness, and that's what you had here. The government went to someone who they believed was involved, and he turned on these individuals. The other factor here that really hurt the Menendezes was the flashiness of the case, the gold bars. That's the kind of evidence DOJ loves, because it just looks so corrupt, even if you have a good explanation. And at their core, bribery and extortion cases, the defense
usually revolves around something like, well, I happen to need a car, and this nice guy gave it to me, and then my nice husband happened to help him out. But that wasn't a quid pro quo. Those are just two independent gifts. The problem with that theory, every defense attorney has had their client try to explain that to them, and then you have to explain to the client. The problem with that theory is that no jury is going to believe it. They're just not going to believe that these businessmen happen to want to give free cars to the defendant, and then the senator totally independently made some official decision that he believed was in the best interest of his constituency. It just happened to be
I had to go.
for these individuals.
I had to deal with the dogs.
Yes. These cases are really tough. Yes, the Supreme Court.
Until next time. Until I'm on my way to work.
These cases, but on the whole,
I'm out.
they're still really tough.
So her